Mandukya Upanishad Part 2. Gaudapadacharya writes the entire second chapter of Mandukya Upanishad around the single word Prapanchopasamam occurring in the seventh mantra. Prapanchopasamam means transcending the universe. Consciousness is independent reality or Satyam, and the world is dependent reality or Mithya. The chapter analyzes the seeming reality or Mithya status of the world. If we count the world as a separate entity from Brahman, that view is called Dvaitam or duality. Therefore, this chapter can be said to stress Dvaita Mithyatvam or the seeming reality of duality. It is very hard for anyone to accept that this world is seemingly real, so Gaudapada decides to explain this further with logical examples. Gaudapada says that the world is seemingly real because it is impermanent. It does not exist in all three states of time, past, present and future. There was a time when the world did not exist, and there will be a time when the world will cease to exist. How does this make the world seemingly real? Whatever is temporary enjoys only temporary existence. If an object has a property that is only temporary, then it is not its intrinsic nature. If you heat a pot of water, the water has heat only as a temporary property. Therefore, heat is not the intrinsic nature of water. Whereas, fire is always hot, so we conclude heat is an intrinsic property of fire. Using this reasoning, existence is not an intrinsic property of the world, so the world does not truly exist and is therefore unreal. Shankaracharya offers a different argument. He says the world is seemingly real because it is an object of experience. What an audacious statement! How can this be? I am experiencing this world, so my first conclusion is that the world is real. But remember the teaching in the previous video. Only I, the consciousness, is real. Everything else is Mithya. Since the world is an object of experience, it is not me, the witness principle. Therefore, it is Mithya. Only consciousness enjoys independent reality. Gaudapada gives the dream world as an example. The dream world is extremely real to the person in the dream. Only upon waking up, the dream world is revealed to be unreal. You say, even before studying Vedanta, I accepted the unreality of a dream. How can we conclude the world is unreal from that example? The dream world satisfies these criteria. It exists within me. It depends on me for its existence. It does not affect me. What about the world? It does not satisfy the same criteria. It is outside me. It exists independent of me. It affects me. Gaudapada says we may have a communication problem. Let us clarify what you mean by the word me. If by me you mean the physical body and mind complex, then yes, this view is absolutely correct. This world is real. But if you shift your identity to the pure, all-pervading consciousness, then what happens to the world? It is within the all-pervading consciousness. It depends on consciousness for its existence. Consciousness is not affected by the world, just like light is not affected by what it illumines. Gaudapada finally prescribes some prerequisites or sadhanas: emotional balance, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, Sannyasa, mental renunciation or detachment. While the second chapter focused on the seeming reality of the world, the third chapter stresses the independent reality of Brahman, expanding on a single word from the seventh mantra, Advaitam. Advaitam means non-dvaitam or non-duality. Gaudapada says that Advaitam means that Brahman cannot become more than one. This is a very significant statement. This implies that Brahman is indivisible. It cannot divide or multiply into more than one principle, and therefore Brahman cannot become the world. How is this possible? This statement seems to contradict the previous teachings that Brahman is the cause of the world. Furthermore, Brahman has been defined as nirvikara, changeless or outside time. To be the cause of something implies change. Gold changes its form into a bangle or chain. Gaudapada therefore repeats, there is no creation. How can we explain these contradictions? In the previous chapter, we established that the universe is only a seemingly real creation. In this chapter, we say that there is no real creation. Those are one and the same. Acceptance of an unreal world is the same as the rejection of a real world. We know that space is one, motionless and pure. When the very same space is enclosed in different containers, it looks as though there are many spaces, like space within a pot, pot space, or space within a room, room space. The plurality of the containers seems to be space plurality. When a pot is destroyed, it appears that pot space is destroyed. But on further analysis, there is no birth or death of pot space. There is only space. There is no plurality of pot space. Similarly, when consciousness is enclosed within a body-mind complex, we mistakenly apply the properties of the container to the contents. There is no birth or death of a jiva. The plurality of jiva is a myth as well. Next, Gaudapada says experience does not prove reality, using dream as an example. We know this as fact. The earth seems flat but is spherical. We think we are stationary, but we are on earth moving violently through space. We experience a blue sky, but we know the sky is not blue. Similarly, we experience the world, but that is not reality. Here are some Upanishadic statements that confirm this conclusion. Kata Upanishad, Neha Nanasti Kinchana, there is no plurality at all. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, through ignorance, a person sees plurality, but for a wise person, Brahman alone was, is, will be. Mundaka Upanishad, all this before is immortal Brahman. Certainly all behind is Brahman, all to the south and to the north, all below and all alone stretched out, all this is certainly Brahman. If there is no creation at all, why should the Vedas talk about creation in different places? In fact, in many instances, the teaching starts with creation. Why are the Vedas misleading the seekers? Gaudapada says the introduction of creation is a temporary method to turn our attention to Brahman. Once creation is introduced as a product, the mind seeks the cause. I focus my attention on the pot. I realize clay is the cause of the pot. Once the mind is fixed on clay, I can see that the pot's existence is borrowed from clay. The pot is negated and only clay is left. The final chapter is dedicated to reinforcing this teaching by examining it for flaws. It is likened to shaking a clothesline that you have put up to make sure it won't fall before you hang your clothes out to dry. Gaudapada refutes some other creation theories. He gives the famous analogy of how moving a firebrand or a lit incense stick can seem to make patterns in a dark room. Patterns can be many, but there is only one stick. Just as a firebrand whirled in the air appears to make a straight or crooked line of light, so consciousness set in motion gives the appearance of perceiver and perceived, subject and object. In conclusion, it is helpful to review Shankaracharya's famous summary of Advaita Vedanta. Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. Brahman is real, the world is unreal, the Jiva is non-different than Brahman. Vedanta does not give a solution to samsara. Vedanta tells me that I was never a samsari. Since I am the same as Brahman, even the question of achieving moksha does not make sense. Samsara and moksha are both mithya. It is a mind-boggling truth that needs to be reflected upon.